Building stronger bonds and bridging impossible distances, which take you from the ever new to the forever beautiful. Opening up vistas and windows to a vibrant new world. A vision becomes a milestone when it touches millions of lives. Aditya Birla Group, big in your life.
Wealthy in minerals, rapid industrialization, swift pace of development, creating its unique identity in the nation's development roadmap, is the success story of Chhattisgarh. Chhattisgarh is presently ranked 4th in the Ease of Doing Business Index in India. A lot of credit for this goes to the Chhattisgarh's visionary leadership to create a bright future for its citizens. With the potential to generate 24,000 megawatts, Chhattisgarh is all set to be the power pivot of the country. Chhattisgarh has been topping the charts as the cleanest state. Due to the all-round rural development and agriculture welfare schemes, Chhattisgarh is a model state for rural prosperity and urban excellence. With the intent of the state leadership and results being seen on ground, Chhattisgarh is on the path of rapid and model growth and development.
There are those who are always looking for what's next. Changing lanes, shifting modes, always in command. Sensing what lies ahead. That first scent of yet another success. The all-new Hyundai Tucson next drives now.
माननीय प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी के विजन और प्रदेश के युवा मुख्यमंत्री पुष्कर सिंह धामी के मिशन से प्रगति के पथ पर निरंतर आगे बढ़ रहा है उत्तराखंड। रोजगार, शिक्षा, स्वास्थ्य, निवेश और भ्रष्टाचार मुक्त उत्तराखंड के सपने को साकार कर रही है उत्तराखंड सरकार। पर्यटन से राज्य में मिल रहे हैं आर्थिक प्रगति को पंख। उत्तराखंड के सीएम तक पहुंच रही जनता की आवाज। उत्तराखंड में बढ़ता निवेश बन रहा है विकास का मुख्य आधार। राज्य की जनता की सुनी मन की बात मिलने जा रहा है राज्य को मजबूत भू कानून का आधार। उत्तराखंड के वीर सैनिकों का हो रहा है सम्मान। प्रदेश में भ्रष्टाचार पर की बड़ी चोट। सुखी, समृद्ध, खुशहाली की तरफ लगातार है बढ़ना। जन जन का है सपना, आगे बढ़ता रहे उत्तराखंड अपना।
A land of awakening. A land of joy. and where every step forward is a journey within. I have started my journey. When will you start yours?
With over 8,000 passionate employees working hard in difficult terrain, pushing boundaries, transforming India's energy landscape. We stand ready with innovative prowess to write another history, fueling the nation and contributing to India's energy security. We are Oil India Limited.
From the interior parts of hilly areas to metro cities, today there are more than 8,800 Jan Aushadhi Kendras have been opened to provide affordable and quality medicines. These centers have 1,616 types of medicines and 250 types of surgical devices available at up to 90% off. By providing affordable medicines to about 10 lakh patients every day, Jan Aushadhi has been able to save up to 18,000 crore rupees for needy people in the last 8 years. Quality is also at the forefront of medicines at low prices.
2025 तक हम छलांग लगा चुके होंगे $1 ट्रिलियन डिजिटल इकोनॉमी की ओर।
आज जब हम आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव मना रहे हैं, तो मेरा भी यही सपना है कि भारत में हर हाथ में स्मार्टफोन हो, हर खेत में ड्रोन हो और हर घर में समृद्धि हो।
Digital India, catalyzing new India's decade. Jai Hind.
Jaya Jaya Gange, Jaya Jaya Gange, Namami Gange, nahi rukenge, hum swachh karenge. तू युग युग से बहती आई, तूने ही हमको पाला है। तेरी उंगली पकड़ चलना सीखा, जीवन तूने ही संभाला है। तेरा कर्ज चुकाना है हमको, कर्तव्य निभाना है हमको। नमामि गंगे, नमामि गंगे, हम स्वच्छ करेंगे, हम स्वच्छ करेंगे।
Power Grid, a Maharatna PSU of Government of India, largest transmission utility of country,
embarked on one such remarkable journey to establish one nation, one grid, one frequency, high voltage integrated transmission network, an electric superhighway through which power flows across the length and breadth of the country. Meeting challenges has always been a way of life at Power Grid. Transmitting power, transforming lives.
REC unleashes the potential of energy. REC funds energy. Funding that catalyzes. Funding that inspires. Funding that transforms. For sustainability and reliability. For investment and development. Adding value. Every day in every way. This is what our energy is. This is REC.
Hello and welcome to day 2 of the 20th edition of the HD Leadership Summit. We have a big newsmaker to kickstart today's sessions, and my guest is Uttarakhand's young Chief Minister, 47-year-old Pushkar Dhami. When the chief minister took over the reins of the state, it was after a lot of flux, with him being brought in as the third BJP chief minister in 4 months. But what Mr. Dhami managed to do was to bring in a degree of stability to the state. There are still challenges, but he managed to score a stunning victory, defying expectations of the Congress, doing well. I'm pleased that he joins us now. मुख्यमंत्री जी, हिंदुस्तान टाइम्स के लीडरशिप समिट में जुड़ने के लिए आपका बहुत-बहुत धन्यवाद। मैं शुरू करना चाहूँगी आपसे ये पूछकर, आप अभी-अभी हिमाचल प्रदेश से आए हैं प्रचार करके। आपको वहाँ पे किस तरीके का माहौल दिखा?
जी, नमस्कार। सबसे पहले तो आपका नमस्कार कि आपने मुझे इसमें बोलने का अवसर प्रदान किया है। देखिए, हमारे जितने भी हिमालयन राज्य हैं, उन सबको अगर किसी ने आगे बढ़ाने का काम किया है, उनके उन्नयन के लिए, उनके उत्थान के लिए, उनके विकास के लिए, तो हमारे देश के यशस्वी प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी ने किया है। उनका लगाव हिमालयन राज्यों के साथ, चाहे उत्तराखंड हो या हिमालय हो, हिमाचल प्रदेश हो, सब जगह दिखता है। और इस चुनाव में मैं जहाँ भी गया हूँ, लोग काम करने वाले लोगों को मौका देंगे, ऐसा उनके उत्साह से, वहाँ पर उनकी बातों से, उनसे मिलने से लगता है कि वहाँ पर भी लोग इस बार रिवाज बदलेंगे। और जो एक लंबे समय से वहाँ पर मिथक चल रहा था, वो मिथक टूटेगा, क्योंकि लोग सरकार की निरंतरता और विकास की निरंतरता दोनों ही चाहते हैं। विकास की निरंतरता तभी होगी जब वहाँ पर सरकार कंटिन्यू होगी। और पिछले 5 सालों में वहाँ काफ़ी अच्छे काम हुए हैं। एम्स बना है, आईआईएम बना है, अटल टनल का लोकार्पण हुआ है। ऐसे अनेकों कार्य, घर-घर नल से जल पहुँचा है, वहाँ पर लोगों को गैस के कनेक्शन मिले हैं। हिमाचल की सरकार ने भी अपनी योजनाएँ शुरू की हैं और दोनों ही सरकारें मिलकर बहुत अच्छा काम कर रही हैं। तो आगे भी लोग मौका देंगे और हिमाचल के विकास को निरंतर आगे करेंगे।
जी, पिछली बार जब हमारी बातचीत हुई थी, हमने आपका इंटरव्यू हिंदुस्तान टाइम्स के लिए किया था मुख्यमंत्री जी, तब आप बिल्कुल नए मुख्यमंत्री थे, कोविड का समय भी था। तो पिछले ये जो कुछ महीने गए हैं, साल गया है, तो आपका सबसे ज़्यादा लर्निंग पॉइंट्स क्या रही हैं आपके लिए?
देखिए, ये राजनीति का क्षेत्र हो, समाज का क्षेत्र हो या प्रशासन का क्षेत्र हो, हर क्षेत्र में सीखने की हमेशा गुंजाइश होती है और लगातार अपने अनुभवों से, अपने से बड़ों के मैं कहूँ मार्गदर्शन से लगातार सीखने को चीज़ें मिलती हैं। हमारी कोशिश है कि हमारा राज्य उत्तराखंड हिंदुस्तान के श्रेष्ठ राज्यों में शामिल हो। उसके लिए हम हर क्षेत्र में काम कर रहे हैं, लगातार मॉनिटरिंग कर रहे हैं, लगातार समीक्षा कर रहे हैं, लगातार चिंतन भी आपस में कर रहे हैं, लगातार उनका विश्लेषण भी कर रहे हैं। तो ये सब धीरे-धीरे विश्लेषण करते हुए, चिंतन करते हुए, समीक्षाएँ करते हुए चीज़ें सीखने को मिल रही हैं और उसको कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि धरातल पर उतारें।
जो एक अचीवमेंट हम बाहर से जो देख रहे हैं, हम लोग जो पॉलिटिकल जर्नलिस्ट हैं और ऑब्जर्वर्स हैं, वो ये ज़रूर है कि जिस समय आपने टेक ओवर किया धामी जी, उस समय काफ़ी ज़्यादा फ्लक्स का माहौल, इंस्टेबिलिटी उत्तराखंड में लोगों को दिख रहा था। 4 महीने में 3 मुख्यमंत्री आ गए थे। तो एक तरीके से अगर हम अचीवमेंट का देखें तो बिल्कुल आप वो स्टेबिलिटी तो लाए हैं।
देखिए, चूँकि हम लोग सब लोग विचार के लिए काम करते हैं और मैं भी विचार के लिए काम करता हूँ और मैं ऐसी पार्टी से ताल्लुक़ रखता हूँ, ऐसी पार्टी में मैंने अपना जीवन प्रारंभ किया है या मैंने कहूँ कि मैंने जो भी सीखा है, उसमें यही हम लोगों को सिखाया गया है कि देश प्रथम है और पार्टी द्वितीय है और व्यक्ति अंतिम है। इस सिद्धांत को हमने मन, कर्म, वचन, आत्मा से स्वीकार किया है और इसको लेकर ही आगे बढ़ रहे हैं। और ऊपर से हमारे देश के यशस्वी प्रधानमंत्री जो विश्व के आज सर्वाधिक लोकप्रिय नेता हैं, उनका आशीर्वाद है हमारे साथ, पूरे उत्तराखंड की जनता के साथ। तो उसके कारण से हम लोग अच्छे से काम कर पा रहे हैं और मन में उत्साह भी है, ऊर्जा भी हमेशा बनी रहती है कि उत्तराखंड को आगे ले जाना है और आम जन के लिए काम करना है।
आपने कहा पार्टी प्रथम है, लेकिन शायद आप हिमाचल प्रदेश में भाजपा के लिए सबसे ज़्यादा प्रॉब्लम यही है कि कई सारे रेबेल लीडर्स हैं। आप मानेंगे कि वो थोड़ा-सा चैलेंजिंग है भाजपा के लिए?
नहीं, मैंने कहा पार्टी द्वितीय है, देश प्रथम है।
हाँ, ओके।
और देखिए ये चूँकि हमारी पार्टी का स्वरूप इतना बड़ा हो गया है कि सभी लोगों की इच्छा होती है कि वो चुनाव में खड़े हों, चुनाव में उनकी प्रत्याशिता हो, वो भी चुनाव में जाएँ। लेकिन देश काल परिस्थिति के अनुसार ही क्योंकि ये चयन होता है और बहुत सोच समझने के बाद किसी एक को ही टिकट मिलता है, एक को ही प्रत्याशी बनाया जाता है। लेकिन जो हमारी पार्टी के जुड़े हुए लोग हैं वो सब लोग समझते हैं इस बात को और मैं समझता हूँ कि धीरे-धीरे स्थिति लोगों की समझ में भी आ रही है और हिमाचल में भी लोग समझ रहे हैं कि भारतीय जनता पार्टी ही एकमात्र विकल्प है, जो विकास को निरंतर आगे बढ़ाएगी। इसलिए लोग भाजपा को वहाँ चुनेंगे।
आपने ये भी कहा कि वो आशा है कि जैसे आपके स्टेट में हमेशा यही रहा है कि एक बार भाजपा फिर कांग्रेस, तो हिमाचल में भी वही एक ट्रेडिशन रहा है। आपके राज्य में तो ये आपने जो पूरा जो सिस्टम था कि एंटी इनकम्बेंसी का एक बार हम हमेशा वो जो बैठी हुई सरकार है उसको बदलने का, तो वो आप जब मुख्यमंत्री थे और अभी जब चुनाव हुए हैं आपने वो बदल दिया। तो आप इसका बिगेस्ट फैक्टर किस वजह से आपने ये ऐतिहासिक मोमेंट जो है कि आप लोगों ने उत्तराखंड में बहुत दिनों बाद दैट यू हेल्ड ऑन टू द गवर्नमेंट, दैट यू केम बैक टू पावर, इसका बिगेस्ट फैक्टर आप क्या कहेंगे?
देखिए इसका जो सबसे बड़ा फैक्टर है वो भाजपा सरकार की जन कल्याणकारी नीतियाँ हैं। समाज के अंतिम छोर में खड़े हुए व्यक्ति तक सरकार को ले जाना है, सुविधाओं को ले जाना है और उसमें सबसे बड़ी बात जो है हमारी विचारधारा के प्रति प्रतिबद्धता और दूसरा हमारे देश के यशस्वी प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी का नेतृत्व है। आज उत्तराखंड के सुदूरवर्ती इलाकों में कहीं भी हम जाते हैं, तो बुजुर्ग जो हमारी माताएँ-बहनें हैं, वो सारे के सारे लोग मोदी जी को अपने बेटे की तरह मानती हैं और जो हमारी बहनें हैं, वो उनको भाई के समान मानती हैं और जो नई बेटियाँ हैं हमारी, वो सब उनको अपने अभिभावक के रूप में मानती हैं। उसका कारण है कि कोरोना महामारी के दौरान जिस प्रकार से उन्होंने हर व्यक्ति की चिंता करी, प्रधानमंत्री के रूप में भी और एक अभिभावक के रूप में भी, वह भी एक बड़ा कारण है और दूसरा लोगों ने उत्तराखंड हो या हिमाचल हो, दोनों ही राज्यों में पहले की जो कांग्रेस की सरकारें रही हैं, उन सरकारों को भी भली-भाँति देखा है। उन सरकारों ने हमेशा इन राज्यों की पहचान को समाप्त करने का काम किया है। उनको लगता था कि छोटे राज्य हैं, 4 सांसद आते हैं, 5 सांसद आते हैं, इससे कोई बहुत फ़र्क नहीं पड़ने वाला है। इसलिए इनकी ओर ध्यान नहीं दिया गया और उसके कारण से भी जो है जनता को दिखा कि पिछले 8 सालों में जिस प्रकार से तेज़ी से काम हुआ है उत्तराखंड के अंदर, चाहे 4 धाम ऑल वेदर रोडें हों, भारतमाला श्रृंखला की सड़कें हों, एक कोने से दूसरे कोने को जोड़ने के जो अभियान चल रहे हैं, उसी प्रकार से हमारे यहाँ एम्स खुले हैं, हवाई अड्डे का विस्तार हो रहा है, साथ ही साथ बद्री धाम, केदार धाम वहाँ पर पुनर्निर्माण के कार्य चल रहे हैं। ऐसे अनेकों कार्य यहाँ पर हो रहे हैं, जो लोगों ने देखा है, घर-घर नल से जल पहुँचा है, बिजली पहुँची है, सौभाग्य योजना में, उज्ज्वला योजना में गैस के सिलेंडर सब जगह पहुँचे हैं, शौचालय बने हैं, प्रधानमंत्री आवास योजना में सभी गरीबों को जो है मुफ्त में जहाँ आवास देने का काम हो रहा है, उनके घरों उनको उनको पक्की छत देने का काम हो रहा है। ऐसे इसी प्रकार से कोरोना महामारी में देखिए वैक्सीनेशन जिस प्रकार से हुआ, लोग एक कालखंड वह भी याद करते हैं कि जब पोलियो आया था देश के अंदर तो 15 सालों तक पोलियो की खुराक नहीं मिल पाई लोगों को। और कोरोना महामारी में जिस प्रकार से तेज़ी से काम हुआ और उत्तराखंड के अंदर माननीय प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी के मार्गदर्शन में हमने 100% वैक्सीनेशन का काम सबसे पहले करने वाले राज्यों में से एक राज्य हमारा भी था। तो हम यही लेकर जनता के बीच में गए थे कि हम काम करने वाले और कारनामे करने वाले, दोनों के बीच चुनाव करना है, तो जनता ने काम करने वालों को अपना आशीर्वाद दिया। इसलिए यहाँ पर एक मिथक टूटा और नया इतिहास बन गया।
तो मोदी जी की पॉपुलैरिटी जो है, वो एंटी इनकम्बेंसी को काफ़ी हद तक ओवरकम कर पाती है और शायद क्योंकि हमने थोड़े ये जो वीकेंड में हमने कुछ रैलीज़ भी सुने, वहाँ पे भी मोदी जी ने ये कहा कि हमारा नाम देखकर भाजपा को वोट दीजिएगा। तो इन अ वे आप मानेंगे कि हिज़ पॉपुलैरिटी इज़ अ बिग ट्रम्प कार्ड आपके पार्टी के लिए?
हाँ, निश्चित रूप से देखिए अब हर काम मोदी जी ने किया है। मोदी जी ने मातृशक्ति के लिए, हमारी माताओं बहनों के लिए काम किया है, नौजवानों के लिए काम किया है, गरीबों के लिए काम किया है, समाज के अंतिम छोर में जो लोग रहते हैं, उन सबको आगे बढ़ाने के लिए काम किया है। कोई सेक्टर उन्होंने छोड़ा नहीं है। इसलिए हर चीज़ में कोई भी चुनाव होता है, छोटा चुनाव भी होता है, उसमें भी मोदी जी ज़रूर कारण होते हैं और राज्यों की सरकारें बनने में तो चूँकि वो बड़े कारण हैं।
धामी जी, एक जो फैक्टर जो कुछ पिछले 1 साल में हमने देखा वो कि आर्मी का पूरा स्कीम जो है रिक्रूटमेंट स्कीम बदल गया है, अग्निपथ वाला स्कीम आ गया है। कहा जा रहा है कि हिमाचल में भी ये काफ़ी फैक्टर रहेगा, हमने उत्तराखंड में भी देखा ये चल रहा है। तो इसको आप क्या मानते हैं? ये किस तरीके से लोगों को पसंद आ रहा है? क्योंकि जो ऑपोज़िशन है, उनका ये कहना है, जो विपक्ष के लोग हैं, उनका ये कहना है क्योंकि ये 3 साल का कर दिया है, परमानेंट कमीशन नहीं है, तो इससे लोग काफ़ी नाराज़ हैं। क्या आपको वो दिख रहा है?
नहीं, नहीं, देखिए नाराज़गी जैसी कोई बात नहीं है। देश के हित में इसको लाया गया है, नौजवानों के हित में इसको लाया गया है और उत्तराखंड और हिमाचल दोनों ही राज्यों में सैनिक बाहुल्य ये दोनों ही प्रदेश रहे हैं और कहीं कोई नाराज़गी जैसी बात नहीं है। अभी-अभी भर्ती मेले आयोजित हुए हैं, उसमें बड़ी संख्या में हज़ारों, लाखों की संख्या में नौजवानों ने भाग लिया है और निश्चित रूप से उनको एक मौका मिल ही रहा है और उसके बाद राज्य की सरकारें हों, चाहे केंद्र की सरकारें हों, उसके बाद भी उनको हर जगह पर प्राथमिकता देने वाले हैं। इसलिए नौजवान अग्निवीर योजना में उत्साह से भाग ले रहे हैं और काफ़ी तत्परता भी है लोगों में। भर्ती मेलों में हमने इस बात को नज़दीक से देखा है। इसके साथ-साथ प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी ने अभी 10 लाख 1 साल के अंदर जो नौकरियों का लक्ष्य रखा है, वह भी बेरोज़गारी की दिशा में एक बहुत बड़ा कदम है कि लोगों को रोज़गार मिलेगा और हम अपने राज्य सरकार के स्तर से भी हमारे यहाँ भी 30,000 लगभग अभी पद खाली हैं वर्तमान में। हमने उन सभी पर भर्ती की प्रक्रिया प्रारंभ की है। इसलिए मैं समझता हूँ कि कहीं ऐसी बात नहीं है और धीरे-धीरे सभी चीज़ें अच्छी हो रही हैं, आगे बढ़ेंगी। जिस चीज़ में भी कमी दिखाई देती है उसमें हमारी केंद्र की सरकार माननीय मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में और राज्य की सरकारें उस दिशा में काम करती हैं।
आप कह रहे हैं कि जो जीत हुई है और हिमाचल में भी जीत होगी, वो इस वजह से क्योंकि आप लोगों ने विकास के लिए काम किया। लेकिन विपक्ष का और कुछ जो ऑब्जर्वर्स हैं, उनका ये भी कहना है कि भाजपा हर चुनाव के पहले वो यूसीसी, यूनिफ़ॉर्म सिविल कोड के बारे में बात करती है, तो इससे ना बहुत लोग पोलराइज़ हो जाते हैं। उत्तराखंड में भी हमने देखा, अब हम हिमाचल में भी सुन रहे हैं। तो इसका आप क्या कहेंगे? ये जो चार्ज है कि ये बस चुनाव के दौरान ये बातें लाई जाती हैं।
नहीं देखिए चुनाव की अगर बात होती तो उत्तराखंड में हमने चुनाव से पहले उत्तराखंड की जनता का ही इसमें मत माँगा था और उत्तराखंड की जनता ने इसमें अपना मत भी दिया था, अपना समर्थन दिया था और एक तरह से मैंडेट दिया उन्होंने इस पर। और वह केवल चुनाव की बात नहीं थी, चुनाव के बाद हमने जो कहा था हमने उस पर काम किया है, हमने कमेटी गठन कर दिया, कमेटी हमारी यहाँ पर काम कर रही है। सेवानिवृत्त न्यायाधीश रंजना प्रकाश देसाई जी की अध्यक्षता में हमारी 5 सदस्यीय कमेटी है, जो लगातार पिछले काफ़ी समय से तेज़ी से काम कर रही है और जल्दी ही वो ड्राफ्ट बना लेगी और उत्तराखंड में हम लागू करेंगे और मैंने उसी समय जब यहाँ पर उत्तराखंड के अंदर ये बात करी थी और साथ ही मैंने सभी राज्यों से भी अपेक्षा करी थी कि सारे ही राज्य इसको अपने यहाँ लागू करें क्योंकि भारत की संविधान की धारा 44 भी कहती है कि और समय-समय पर इस पर जो है माननीय उच्चतम न्यायालय ने भी जो है अपनी टिप्पणी दी है कि राज्यों को इसको लागू करना चाहिए। तो आज मुझे खुशी है कि हमने इसका प्रारंभ किया, गुजरात में भी हो गया, अभी हिमाचल में भी जो है इसको लागू करने की दिशा में आगे बढ़ेंगे। सारे ही राज्य अब इस दिशा में आगे बढ़ेंगे क्योंकि हमने तो यहाँ तर्क दिया था कि हम चूँकि एक हिमालय के राज्य हैं, देवभूमि है, यहाँ पर सैनिक बाहुल्य प्रदेश है, प्रत्येक परिवार से कोई न कोई सेना में काम करता है, कोई अर्धसैनिक बलों में काम करता है, 2-2 अंतर्राष्ट्रीय सीमाओं से हमारा राज्य लगा हुआ है, धर्म, संस्कृति और अध्यात्म का ये एक प्रदेश है। इसलिए सबके लिए एक समान कानून होना चाहिए। हम तो उस दिशा में आगे बढ़ गए, अब सभी लोग आगे आ रहे हैं।
तो सर ये केंद्र के स्तर पर ऐसा एक कानून क्यों नहीं लाया जाता? क्योंकि ये तो बीजेपी का कोर प्रॉमिस है। ये हमेशा से ही तो बाकी तो जैसे 370 पे आपने डिलीवर किया, राम मंदिर पे आप लोगों ने डिलीवर किया। तो ये यूसीसी को केंद्र स्तर पे क्यों नहीं लाया जाता?
सारे प्रदेश इसको लागू कर देंगे, धीरे-धीरे सब लागू हो जाएगा पूरे देश में।
अगर हम हिमाचल प्रदेश और उत्तराखंड की एक बात अगर करें और चुनाव की बात करें सर, तो एक और जो फैक्टर बहुत चर्चा में है और हम दिल्ली में बैठकर उसका बहुत ही मतलब प्रदर्शन देख रहे हैं, वो ये है कि आम आदमी पार्टी का चैलेंज। आप इसको कैसे देखते हैं? केंद्र के स्तर पर और एज़ अ बीजेपी मुख्यमंत्री होने के उस पे कि फ्यूचर भाजपा बनाम आम आदमी पार्टी ही रहेगी या फिर कांग्रेस को आप देख रहे हैं कि वो कंसोलिडेट वो लोग भी भारत जोड़ो कर रहे हैं, वो लोग भी अपने आप को स्ट्रेंथन कर रहे हैं। तो फ्यूचर क्या है? भाजपा वर्सेस हू?
नहीं, भाजपा के सामने कोई भी पार्टी नहीं है और मैं उत्तराखंड की बात करूँ तो मैंने चुनाव से पहले ही जब आम आदमी पार्टी यहाँ आई थी और बहुत ज़ोर-शोर से उनका यहाँ प्रचार चला था। उसी समय हमने कहा कि ये हमारा जो है तीर्थाटन का और धार्मिक गतिविधियों का भी प्रदेश है। बहुत सारे लोग धार्मिक कामों के लिए आते हैं, बहुत सारे लोग पर्यटन के लिए आते हैं। चुनाव के बाद ये सब चले जाएँगे और चुनाव हुआ उत्तराखंड में, तो पूरी तरह से आम आदमी पार्टी का कहीं खाता भी नहीं खुला, कहीं उनको कोई भी उनकी शुरुआत नहीं हुई। वो इस बात का प्रमाण है कि उत्तराखंड के लोग बहुत देश के साथ चलने वाले, राष्ट्रवाद के साथ चलने वाले और छोटे-छोटे जो चुनाव के चोचले होते हैं, चुनाव के जो वायदे होते हैं, उन पर जाने वाले नहीं हैं और धीरे-धीरे देश की जनता भी उन सभी चीज़ों को समझ रही है और दीर्घकालिक जो योजनाएँ हैं, देश को आगे हिंदुस्तान ही नहीं बल्कि दुनिया का श्रेष्ठ हिंदुस्तान बनाना है, दुनिया का विश्व गुरु भारत को बनाना है, उस दिशा में मोदी जी ने भारत को आगे बढ़ाने का काम किया है और पूरा भारत उनके साथ है। इसलिए कोई भी पार्टी अब भारतीय जनता पार्टी के सामने नहीं है क्योंकि भाजपा की जो सोच है, वो जहाँ अंतिम व्यक्ति तक सरकार को पहुँचाना है, सुविधाओं को पहुँचाना है, वहीं की देश की सीमाएँ हों, देश के संस्कार हों, देश की जो हमारी संस्कृति है, उसको बढ़ाने का काम भी भाजपा ही कर सकती है। इसलिए कोई विकल्प नहीं है भाजपा का।
लेकिन सर अब आपने मेरा जवाब ये नहीं दिया कि अच्छा ठीक है, तो आम आदमी पार्टी नहीं है, इसका मतलब कि आप लोगों का चैलेंज और फाइट जो है क्योंकि चुनाव में तो किसी के साथ, किसी के खिलाफ लड़ना पड़ेगा, वो फिर कांग्रेस आपको लगता है कि वो डटी रहेगी?
देखिए, हमारे सामने चूँकि लगातार जितने भी चुनाव हो रहे हैं, सारे चुनावों में भारतीय जनता पार्टी लगातार जीत रही है। अब 2014 का चुनाव हो, यहाँ से मैं शुरुआत करता हूँ, 2014 का चुनाव हो, 2017 का चुनाव हो, 2019 का चुनाव हो, अभी 2022 का चुनाव हो, सारे चुनाव भाजपा जीत रही है। इसलिए अब हमारे सामने चुनौती कोई पार्टी नहीं है, कांग्रेस पार्टी, आम आदमी पार्टी या कोई अन्य पार्टी। हमारे सामने चुनौती है काम करना, लोगों को और बेहतर सुविधाएँ देना और विनम्र होकर और नम्र होकर लोगों की सेवा करना। ये हमारी चुनौती है।
तो कोई भी रीजनल पार्टी भी आपको नहीं लगता है क्योंकि हाँ, उत्तराखंड में तो और कोई रीजनल पार्टी है नहीं। आम आदमी पार्टी का ही चैलेंज था और आपने सही कहा कि वहाँ पे तो आम आदमी पार्टी इतना कोई चैलेंज नहीं कर पाई। लेकिन दिल्ली में तो भाजपा के साथ काफ़ी ज़्यादा लड़ाई है ना सर? तो आप मानेंगे कि कुछ-कुछ जगह आम आदमी पार्टी या फिर कोई रीजनल पार्टी वही चैलेंज रह गई है?
देखिए सुनेत्रा जी, उत्तराखंड क्या है कि देश का मुकुट है। हिमालय है यहाँ, यहाँ पर्वतराज हैं, यहाँ पर हमारे यहाँ गंगा है, यमुना है, अनेकों नदियाँ यहाँ से निकलती हैं, यहाँ पर वनों से हम आच्छादित हैं। आप सब लोगों को भी अच्छी हवा, अच्छा पानी, अच्छा पर्यावरण हम लोग यहीं से देते हैं और जब यहाँ शुरुआत हो गई है, यहाँ आम आदमी पार्टी पूरी तरह से खत्म हो गई है और यहाँ के लोगों ने पहले समझ लिया है, दिल्ली के लोग भी जल्दी ही झूठ-फरेब की राजनीति को समझ लेंगे और आने वाले जो चुनाव हैं, अभी एमसीडी के जो चुनाव होने वाले हैं, अन्य चुनाव आने वाले हैं, सब में वहाँ भी परिवर्तन दिखाई देगा, वहाँ भी बदलाव होगा। लोग अब दोनों ही सरकारें एक चाहते हैं जिससे कि विकास की गति मिले, विकास को एक नया आयाम मिले।
मैं एक थोड़ा-सा ट्रैक बदलना चाहूँगी मुख्यमंत्री जी और वो ये पूछना चाहूँगी कि पिछले 1-2 महीने में एक जो हेडलाइन्स उत्तराखंड से हमेशा हम लोग आपने जैसे कहा कि वैसे चार धाम यात्रा या फिर केदारनाथ में क्या होता है उसके बारे में ये करते हैं। लेकिन एक हेडलाइन्स जो काफ़ी डिस्टर्बिंग थी वो थी अंकिता भंडारी केस। और इसके बारे में जो लोकल थे वहाँ पे हमने देखा कि काफ़ी ज़्यादा वो गुस्से में थे और ऐसे प्रोटेस्ट हमने कई दिनों से नहीं देखा था, इतने ज़्यादा प्रोटेस्ट। तो उस पूरे एपिसोड के बारे में अगर कुछ टेक अवे होगा मुख्यमंत्री जी, तो वो आप क्या कहेंगे? क्या मतलब उससे सीखने को मिला या फिर हैंडल कुछ क्या अलग कर सकते थे हम?
देखिए, जो घटना थी, वो हमारी बेटी के साथ थी। अंकिता हमारे पूरे राज्य की बेटी थी, हमारी बेटी थी और इस प्रकार की घटना से आक्रोश होना स्वाभाविक था। और लेकिन सरकार के स्तर पर हमने तत्काल ही जैसे ही घटना का पता लगा, सभी जो भी अपराधी थे, आरोपी थे, जो घटना में जिनकी संलिप्तता थी, उनकी गिरफ्तारी की। उस पर हमने एसआईटी की जांच प्रारंभ करी और सारे जो भी अपराधी लोग हैं, उनको सजा दिलाने के लिए हर संभव हम काम कर रहे हैं, कोशिश कर रहे हैं। किसी स्तर पर भी कोई उसमें ढिलाई नहीं बरती गई है। सारे तरीके से हम पूरी तरह से इस बात के लिए प्रतिबद्ध हैं कि ये इस प्रकार की घटना कभी भी भविष्य में न हो, उसके लिए जितना भी सख्त से सख्त हो सकते हैं, हम लोग उस पर कार्रवाई कर रहे हैं। और कुछ लोग चूँकि केवल बेवजह इसको राजनीतिक मुद्दा बना रहे हैं, ये राजनीतिक मुद्दा नहीं है। हम स्वयं चाहते हैं, हमारी सरकार चाहती है, मैं स्वयं पुष्कर सिंह धामी मैं चाहता हूँ कि अपराधियों को कड़ी से कड़ी सज़ा मिलनी चाहिए, जिससे कि भविष्य में कभी भी इस प्रकार की घटनाओं के बारे में कोई करना तो दूर की बात, सोचना भी छोड़ दे। देवभूमि ऐसे लोगों के लिए बिल्कुल नहीं है, जो इस प्रकार के अपराध करें, इस प्रकार के गलत काम करें, इस प्रकार की घिनौनी हरकत करें। तो इसलिए हमने सख्त रुख अपनाया हुआ है। इसमें किसी को कोई संशय नहीं होना चाहिए और जितनी तेज़ी से इस पर कार्रवाई हुई है, कम केसों पर इस पर कार्रवाई होती है।
बिल्कुल। सर, क्या एक चीज़ हम मानेंगे कि जो वहाँ पे बुलडोज़र यूज़ हुआ था, डेमोलिशन, वो शायद गलत था?
देखिए, बुलडोज़र की जो बात है, उस देश काल परिस्थिति में और वहाँ पर जो भी हुआ, लेकिन जो लोग इसको बेवजह ये मुद्दा बना रहे हैं कि सबूत मिटाए गए हैं, हमारी जो एसआईटी की हेड है, उन्होंने परसों ही माननीय उच्चतम न्यायालय में भी वहाँ पर जाकर बताया है न्यायालय में भी कि जो भी सबूत थे, जो सबूतों की बात है, वो सारे ही सबूत सुरक्षित कर लिए गए थे। उसकी पहले ही वीडियोग्राफी कर ली गई थी। इसलिए सबूतों से छेड़छाड़ जैसी कोई बात नहीं है और जो घटनास्थल है, जो भी चीज़ें हैं, वो सारी की सारी एसआईटी ने पहले ही अपने पास रख ली हैं। इसलिए लोगों को कोई मुद्दा नहीं मिलता है। कुछ लोग जो है इसको बेवजह का मुद्दा बना रहे हैं और उनको इतना चिंतित होने की आवश्यकता नहीं है। सरकार खुद इसके लिए चिंतित है।
एक हमने फॉल आउट ये देखा कि और ये पूरे देश में आई थिंक भाजपा सरकार ने भी इसको काफ़ी इश्यू बनाया है कि जो कॉलोनियल, जो अंग्रेज़ी जो चीज़ें हैं, जो चला आ रहा है, रिचुअल्स चले आ रहे हैं, कॉलोनियल रिचुअल्स जिसको कहते हैं, उनको बिल्कुल मोदी सरकार का ये कहना है कि उनको हटाया जाए। जो भारतीय ज़्यादा रिचुअल्स हैं, उनको लाया जाए। तो इनमें से एक शायद एक जो ट्रेडिशन है उत्तराखंड में, आप शायद उसको भी शायद चेंज कर रहे हैं कि पटवारी का जो पुलिस है और पुलिस स्टेशन नहीं थे जो पहाड़ों में, उसको आप बदल बदल रहे हैं?
हाँ, निश्चित रूप से देखिए जो पुरानी व्यवस्थाएँ हैं, चूँकि उस समय जो भी व्यवस्थाएँ रही होंगी उसके उस देश काल परिस्थिति या उस समय के अनुरूप बनाई गई होंगी। अब समय बदल गया है, विकास तेज़ी से आगे बढ़ा है, नई-नई चीज़ें हो गई हैं, हैं? तो नए आविष्कार हो गए हैं, नए निर्माण कार्य हो गए हैं। तो उसके हिसाब से होना चाहिए और हमने इसको स्टेप बाय स्टेप जो है चरणबद्ध तरीके से करने का निर्णय लिया है। हमारी कैबिनेट ने इस पर फैसला ले लिया है कि हम धीरे-धीरे जो हमारे यहाँ पर राजस्व क्षेत्रों में राजस्व पुलिस की व्यवस्थाएँ थी, अब उनको धीरे-धीरे नियमित पुलिस को दे रहे हैं। और एक-एक करके जहाँ-जहाँ ज़रूरत है उसके हिसाब से हम इस पर
पर
निर्णय
सर
कर
इसमें इतना समय क्यों लगा? आई मीन हम लोग अगर दिल्ली में तो लोग जानते भी नहीं होंगे कि ऐसे बहुत सारी जगह हैं जो पहाड़ों में है जहाँ पर पुलिस है ही नहीं, पुलिस थाने हैं ही नहीं। तो इसको लाने में इतना समय क्यों लगा?
देखिए कई बार संसाधनों की उपलब्धता के आधार पर भी होता है, दूसरा आवश्यकताओं के आधार पर भी। क्योंकि ऐसे स्थानों पर पहले उस प्रकार के अपराध, उस प्रकार की चीज़ें नहीं थी, लोगों का आवागमन कम था, इसलिए जो है ये इस प्रकार की एक रेवेन्यू पुलिस की व्यवस्था थी। और अब धीरे-धीरे मैंने पहले ही कहा कि अब जैसे-जैसे जो है तेज़ी से विकास आगे बढ़ रहा है, अन्य चीज़ें आगे बढ़ रही हैं, तो इसकी आवश्यकता महसूस हो रही है और उसको हम लोग जल्दी कर रहे हैं, स्टेप बाय स्टेप लेकर जहाँ-जहाँ जैसी-जैसी ज़रूरत है उसके हिसाब से आगे बढ़ रहे हैं।
एक बहुत बड़ा चैलेंज और बहुत बड़ा जो एक इश्यू है, जो सारे एजुकेशन मिनिस्ट्रीज़, सारे स्टेट्स में कह रही हैं, वो ये है कि लोगों को अपने भाषा में बात करनी चाहिए और इंजीनियरिंग और मेडिसिन की किताबें भी हिंदी में होनी चाहिए। तो क्या आपका इस आप इसके बारे में क्या सोच रहे हैं? क्योंकि उत्तराखंड एक बहुत ज़्यादा टूरिस्ट एरिया भी है और अगर भारत को बाकी चाइना जैसे देशों से अगर एडवांटेज ये मिला था और एडवांटेज ये था कि हम लोग यहाँ पे बहुत सारे जो स्टूडेंट्स थे उनको अंग्रेजी बहुत अच्छी आती थी। चाइनीज़ जो स्टूडेंट्स थे उनको इतनी अच्छी नहीं आती है। तो सर आपको नहीं लगता है कि ये जो कि हिंदी में जो एम्फेसिस है या फिर राष्ट्रभाषा में जो एम्फेसिस है वो ठीक है, लेकिन इसमें जो टूरिज़्म का एज जो भारतीयों को है, वो शायद कम हो जाएगा, घट जाएगा?
नहीं, ऐसा बिल्कुल नहीं है। देखिए दुनिया के बहुत सारे देश हैं, जर्मनी हो, रसिया हो, अनेकों-अनेकों देश हैं जो अपनी-अपनी भाषाओं में इस प्रकार की चीज़ों को आगे बढ़ाते हैं, इस प्रकार की व्यवस्था को आगे बढ़ाते हैं। इसलिए मातृभाषा में, हिंदी भाषा में होगा, तो लोगों के लिए आसान होगा और पढ़ाई करने में भी आसानी होगी और काम करने में भी आसानी होगी। इसकी हम जल्दी ही शुरुआत यहाँ भी करने वाले हैं। मध्य प्रदेश की सरकार ने अभी मेडिकल एजुकेशन को हिंदी में किया है, उसके बाद हम भी इसको यहाँ करने वाले हैं।
तो इसमें आपको एडवांटेज ही दिखते हैं। सर दूसरी बात अगर हम कोविड के इम्पैक्ट के बारे में अगर बात करें तो आपको क्या दिखता है कि जो टूरिस्ट जो पहले थे 2019 के पहले जितने थे वो लेवल्स वापस आ गए हैं या फिर उत्तराखंड में और कुछ करने की ज़रूरत है ताकि टूरिज़्म को और बढ़ावा मिले?
मैं इसके लिए हमारे देश के प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी का धन्यवाद करना चाहता हूँ कि 5 नवंबर 2021 को वो बाबा केदार में आए थे। वहाँ पर जो कार्य चल रहे हैं उनके लोकार्पण और शिलान्यास के लिए आए थे और उन्होंने वो केदार की भूमि से कहा था, बाबा केदार की भूमि से, कि 21वीं सदी का तीसरा दशक उत्तराखंड का दशक होगा। उन्होंने कहा ये शब्द मेरे लिख कर रख लीजिए और उनके मुँह से ये शब्द निकले और इस बार की जो यात्रा थी हमारी, अभी तक 46 लाख का आंकड़ा पार कर चुकी है, जो अपने आप में पिछले वर्षों में 2019 से 35 से 40% अधिक है। अभी तक का सबसे बड़ा रिकॉर्ड है। इसी प्रकार से कांवड़ यात्रा, वह भी हमारी 4 करोड़ के लगभग, वह यात्रा भी हुई है। तो सारे ही जो रिकॉर्ड हैं पिछले, वो टूट गए हैं, नए रिकॉर्ड बन गए हैं और इस बार तो यात्रा करना हमारे लिए बहुत चुनौतीपूर्ण था, क्योंकि 2 सालों बाद यात्रा हुई थी और कैपेसिटी से कहीं ज़्यादा, जहाँ
सर
केदारनाथ में
आप कह
आज
रहे हैं कांवड़ यात्रा से भी टूरिज़्म को बढ़ावा मिलता है?
निश्चित रूप से देखिए जहाँ पर इतने लोग आते हैं इतनी बड़ी संख्या में, तो सभी यात्राएँ चाहे धार्मिक हों, चाहे पर्यटन के हिसाब से चलने वाली हों, किसी न किसी रूप में उससे भी बढ़ावा मिलता है।
धामी जी मेरी तरफ से आपके लिए एक फाइनल क्वेश्चन वो मैं ये पूछना चाहूँगी कि जब आपने टेक ओवर किया, जब आप मुख्यमंत्री बने तो आप देश के वन ऑफ द यंगेस्ट चीफ मिनिस्टर्स में से हैं। तो आप अपने मतलब आप इतने यंग हैं, यू आर जस्ट 47 जब आपने टेक ओवर किया था तब आप 45 के थे। तो इसको आप एक एडवांटेज मानेंगे या फिर डिसएडवांटेज मानेंगे और किस वजह से?
मैं अपने आप को बहुत सौभाग्यशाली मानता हूँ कि मैंने कभी नहीं सोचा था कि मुझे इतनी जल्दी ये काम करने का अवसर प्रदान किया जाएगा, ये दायित्व दिया जाएगा और मेरे जैसे सामान्य नवयुवक को। मैं एक सैनिक का बेटा हूँ और सामान्य परिस्थितियों में मैंने अपने जीवन को शुरू किया है। मैं इसके लिए हमारे देश के प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी का, हमारे गृह मंत्री जी का, हमारे अध्यक्ष नड्डा जी का और राष्ट्रीय नेतृत्व का, कि जिन्होंने मुझ पर भरोसा किया और उत्तराखंड की जनता के सामने मुझको एक काम भी दिया कि चुनाव से चूँकि कुछ पहले मुझे बनाया, एक काम मुझे दिया कि उत्तराखंड की जनता के बीच में जहाँ शासन को आगे बढ़ाना है, विकास को आगे बढ़ाना है, वहीं संवाद की प्रक्रिया को भी करना है। उस पर उत्तराखंड की देवतुल्य जनता ने अपना आशीर्वाद दिया। मैं समझता हूँ कि ये मेरे लिए बहुत सीखने की प्रक्रिया, वैसे तो सीखने की प्रक्रिया में मैं अब भी हूँ। मैं ऐसा मानता हूँ सुनेत्रा जी, क्योंकि आप तो स्वयं बहुत विद्वान हैं, इतने सारे चैनलों में इतनी सारी चीज़ों को आप लगातार करती हैं और अच्छे-अच्छे प्रश्न करके लोगों के मन के अंदर जो चीज़ें होती हैं उनको बाहर निकाल देती हैं। तो मनुष्य क्या है, संपूर्ण जीवन भर विद्यार्थी और शिक्षार्थी रहता है। जब तक उसके जीवन का अंतिम समय नहीं आ जाता है, तब तक वो कुछ न कुछ सीखता ही रहता है। तो मैं ऐसा मानता हूँ कि अभी कुछ ही समय हुए हैं, चूँकि चुनाव से पहले तो केवल चुनाव का ही पूरा माहौल था और चुनाव के बाद जो अभी 6 महीने का कालखंड हुआ है, उसमें कुछ चीज़ों को हम लोग आगे बढ़ा रहे हैं। और मैं ऐसा मानता हूँ कि हमारे यहाँ पर ही एक ऐसी प्रथा है कि किसी को भी, कभी भी, कोई पृष्ठभूमि हो या ना हो, उसको अवसर दे दिया जाता है। ये भारतीय जनता पार्टी में ही संभव है कि जहाँ किसी को भी, कभी भी, किसी भी दायित्व में दे दिया जाता है और बिना बताए दे दिया जाता है। जिसको दे दिया जाता है वो करता है और लीडरशिप का ये विश्वास होता है कि जिसको हम जिम्मेदारी देंगे वो करेगा। तो मेरे साथ भी ठीक ऐसा ही हुआ है। इसलिए मैं सबका आभारी हूँ। आप सब लोगों का भी आभारी हूँ कि आप सब लोग लगातार मेरा मार्गदर्शन किसी न किसी रूप में करते रहते हैं।
तो मैं मान के चलती हूँ कि आपके उत्तर से कि आपके लिए एडवांटेज ही रहा है।
नहीं, मैंने कहा कि सीख रहा हूँ, कर रहा हूँ, अभी कोशिश कर रहा हूँ।
बिल्कुल, बिल्कुल। मुख्यमंत्री जी, धामी जी, थैंक यू सो मच कि आपने हम सब से बात किया। आपका बहुत-बहुत धन्यवाद।
जी, बहुत धन्यवाद आपको।
His restaurant is often topping international lists of India's and even Asia's best restaurants. His food has redefined the way we all look at our own food, giving new twists to old favorites or bringing in an international flavor to familiar ingredients. Our next guest is the wonderful Manish Mehrotra of Indian Accent, talking about all things delicious with the editor of Brunch, Jamal Sheikh.
Hello and welcome to a very unique session at the Hindustan Times Leadership Summit 2022. With us today is Chef Manish Mehrotra, often called India's best chef, who's best known for his restaurant Indian Accent, which has adorned power lists all over the world. As a special treat, Chef Manish Mehrotra will take us into his kitchen and show us how to make two of his special dishes and help us bring a little taste of Indian Accent into our homes. After that, we will chat a little bit on gastronomy, about how he heralded plated Indian food to an audience that didn't know how to, and more. But first, let's head into the kitchen with Chef Manish Mehrotra.
So my name is Manish Mehrotra and we are standing at Indian Accent restaurant at the moment. Today I am going to show you a dish which, when I was deciding, everybody was against it. Why? Because we were serving moong dal in the fine dining restaurant and charging a bomb for it. Everybody said moong dal, bimar wali dal, in a fine dining restaurant like Indian Accent, it will never work. And I believed in that particular dish because since childhood, I was tasting that thing at different parts of Muradabad. It was dal Muradabadi. So let's go. We'll start with a dal Muradabadi. Just a normal pan, a little bit of ghee. I always prefer ghee, one of the best cooking medium. My ghee is now hot. 1 or 2 cloves, jeera, little bit of hing. One of the unique thing about this particular dish is that this is without onion and garlic. It's just the boiled moong dal, like a nice pasty moong dal. The aroma of hing, jeera and cloves. I'll add little bit of ginger and little bit of green chilies. While boiling the moong dal, I added a little bit of haldi and salt into it. And my dal is nice and the aromas are really, really good. A little bit of coriander. It's basically just boiled moong dal and you are putting tadka into it. Little bit of butter, which really gives a smooth and silky texture. You don't have to eat a full bowl. You have to eat little bit. So this much butter and ghee is, I think, perfect. There is no harm. It's a perfect dal. Dal is almost ready. Going to plate it. Now it's time to garnish my dal. I will sprinkle this buklu masala. We specially get it from Unnao. This is a little bit of imli ka chutney. A little bit of dhania and mint ka chutney. A little bit of nimbu. A little bit of onions. Tomato, some crispy moong dal on top, crunch of onions, silkiness of dal, crispiness of moong dal, this and a nice colorful dish, dal Muradabadi. Now my second dish was inspired from Calcutta, beetroot chop. So after dal Muradabadi, now we are going to do a next dish, that is a beetroot and goat cheese salad. A nice beetroot potato chop crumbed with breadcrumbs and deep fried, nice crispy texture outside, soft and silky from inside, very flavorful. So let's start. So first thing is this beetroot batons. These are beetroot batons, very easy to, it looks very fancy, but very easy to do. I'll take some boiled beetroot and a normal pipe, normal clean stainless steel pipe. And the beetroot baton is there. So you can use all different sides of the beetroot to make this beetroot batons. Few of these beetroot, little bit of lime juice, bit of a honey, pinch of salt and pepper. I will add some boiled potatoes, and this is one of my favorite mustard sauce, which is kashundi. Little bit more of a lime juice, and here we go. It's all mixed up. Now we are going to do the plating. So I'm putting some potatoes and beetroot. Wow, looks delicious. Goat cheese. This is just the goat cheese. See, there is no hard and fast rule that how much goat cheese. It totally depends on how much you like the goat cheese. Now, they add peanut into the Calcutta chops. So I'll add some peanut butter. I saw some green peas also in that chop. So I'm not adding green peas, but I am adding some pea shoots. Wonderful. Since it was crumbed with the bread crumb, so I am going to add some crispy pieces of bread. I got a little bit of kishmish into it also. So for that kishmish, this is a chikki. This is a black Manipur black rice and pistachio chikki which we bake. So I'll add a little bit of chikki. It will give texture. It will give a little bit of more sweetness and richness to my salad. And here we go. Our beetroot and goat cheese salad with potato is ready. Inspired from Calcutta beetroot chop. So today I showed you two dishes, dal and a salad, very modern, but inspired from the grassroots of India. So we have so many gems in India, which is perfectly all right to be served in a fine dining restaurant. Hope you enjoyed it.
Chef Manish Mehrotra, welcome officially to the 20th edition of the Hindustan Times Leadership Summit.
Thank you.
Thank you for the wonderful food you showed us how to make. I can't promise we'll make it half as well, but I promise you we will try. Chef, I'm going to begin this conversation with a question that's a little spicy, keeping in line with Indian food.
Okay.
Molecular gastronomy is something we all love, but a lot of critics say that fine dining and plated food takes away the soul out of Indian food. As the person who's heralded plated Indian food for years now, what do you have to say? Defend yourself.
Defend myself. I think the first plated food in the world or in India was a thali or a sadhya meal. What do you mean by plated? Where everything, every part of the dish is decided and designed in such a way that where it should go on the plate. And the sadhya meal, if you see, every particular dish has a defined position on a banana leaf where it goes. So we will be doing plated food from many centuries, but somehow in the middle, I don't know, we got lost somewhere and everything started coming in a big bowl, drowned in a brown, yellow, orangish kind of a gravies and all. But it was, plated food was always there. And that is what I try to define, inspired from the thali and the sadhya meal or a temple food where you have different textures, different flavors, different colors, all prominent on a platter. This is what I do. So I am reviving that old tradition which got lost somewhere in the middle.
Well, very well said. Chef, you grew up in Patna, which is as much of the heartland of India as it can possibly get. There was no fine dining then. What was your first experience with fine dining?
My first experience with fine dining, I would say when we used to have relatives all over India and when we used to go outside India. That time and fine dining in the terms of fine dining, proper fine dining, going to a 5-star hotel and have a Indian khana there, that was sort of a fine dining which was available when I was a kid. So whenever we used to come to Delhi, we used to encounter that kind of a meal. So I would say around early 80s, I encountered the first fine dining where not plated, but a fine dining kind of a food I tried.
Right. But growing up, food at home was dal, bhat, roti, sabzi, what we call DVRS.
Absolutely. Absolutely home-cooked food. Pure vegetarian, no non-vegetarian. Mostly no onion, no garlic food. Because my father never used to eat onion and garlic. But a lot of festivals were celebrated with the food, whether it's Janmashtami, Holi, Diwali, Dashera. All these things were celebrated in the house with different dishes. So food was always around, and that really taught me that vegetarian food can be really tasty. You don't need onion, garlic to make food delicious, and less ingredients can make a wonderful dish.
Now, Manish, you and I have something in common. You started your career under Chef Ananda Solomon.
Yeah.
And as a young food writer, Chef Ananda Solomon is the one who introduced me to all the fancy new cuisines that India was experiencing for the first time. Tell us a little bit about your time with that iconic chef.
Chef Ananda Solomon is I would say, he's a legend. One of the finest chef I've ever seen, not only worked, I've ever seen, who knows about food, but he knows about guest psyche. And for a chef or for anyone, whether he's a fashion designer or a filmmaker or a chef or a musician performing somewhere, you are doing it for someone else. And their psyche, what is going in their brain, which is very, very important. And that is what I learned from Chef Ananda Solomon. And that is what I still believe in. I still believe in feedbacks. That feedbacks are really, really important, which I learned. And one golden rule, what I learned from Chef Ananda is the plate which goes inside the restaurant is very important, but the plate which comes back from the restaurant is even more important. Whether how much food is left, it means whether he enjoyed it or he didn't enjoy it. So the chances. So that is.
So are you saying your diners are your best critics?
Definitely. Definitely. See, they are the ones. I judge all my dishes, not only whether it's taste good, whether its presentation is good, but whether I'll be paying that much price for this dish if I'll go out and eat this dish. That is again a benchmark to see the dish.
Are you dissing all critics?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that.
Come on, make a controversial statement once.
See, everyone is a critique because food is one such thing. There can be thousands of opinions. One dish, you will like it, I will hate it because I hate baingan, so I will not like baingan ka bharta. You love baingan, you will love baingan ka bharta. So it's very individual. Food is very, very individual.
But come on, even movies are individual. I may love a movie, you may not, you may hate the same movie. So I'm asking you again, do you take food critics seriously?
I take it very seriously in terms of what feedback they give. But definitely, final call is mine.
Now, New Delhi first noticed Chef Manish Mehrotra when you moved here in 2000. There was Oriental Octopus, and a few years later came Indian Accent. What was the idea that made you set up a first of its kind, fine dining, plated, modern Indian food restaurant like Indian Accent?
First thing, I was working in London at that time, and London was at that point of time, even more than New York, was a cosmopolitan city of different culture, different nationality, and everybody's food represented in that city in a different level and on a very good level also. So Indian food, Chef Vineet Bhatia, Chef Atul Kochar, Chef Vivek Singh, they were doing, Chef Shri Ramayur, they were doing fantastic work. And when you saw their work, you get inspired, and then you said, why can't we do this type of thing in India? Because one thing what I feel at that point of time, that the youth of India has a very big disconnect with the Indian food at that point of time.
You're talking of the late 2000s.
Yeah, late
mid-2000s.
Yes, like
2000.
From 1996 to 2009, 2008,
Correct.
2009, those young Indians have stopped going to Indian restaurants.
Yes.
There was a big disconnect.
Yes.
So that was a motivation thing of that you have to do food, Indian food, in such a way that it reconnects the young generation also. It relates that people coming outside India, they can relate to it, and cuisine can move forward. the regional cuisine can come into limelight.
Right.
These was the whole reason to start Indian Accent.
So do you remember the first dish you ever cooked for Indian Accent?
I think it was rice crusted John Dory moili. I would say it was John Dory fish with a rice crust, like South Indian rice crust, deep fried, and served with a Kerala moili curry. And that was the first dish I would say we tried for Indian Accent.
It's been like almost 15 years and my mouth is watering hear you saying that. Chef, there's certain dishes that are synonymous with Indian Accent. There's the blue cheese naan, there's the palate cleanser, the sorbet that comes in a little pressure cooker, which you've told me before has been photographed more than the chef. and of course, there's the daulat ka chaat. Tell us little stories behind each of these dishes.
So blue cheese naan, first when I tasted first blue cheese, I said, who the hell eats this? How can somebody eat blue cheese? But you develop a flavor. And it was a unique combination, like bread and blue cheese is a classic combination. But doing it in a naan, so I wanted to do, because the savoriness and the pungency of blue cheese goes very well with the bread.
Right.
And it goes so well with the naan.
Yes.
So, but you have to tone it down a little bit,
right,
so that it is more suitable to Indian palate.
Right.
And when we did it in a blue cheese, we tried different cheeses. Mozzarella, also Gorgonzola, Stilton, Roquefort, but Danish blue, but only Danish blue worked.
Right.
Other cheese, the flavor is gone. Danish blue worked. We did many trials, and then the blue cheese naan came, and it became synonymous with Indian Accent. And the palate cleanser, anar and churan, kulfi sorbet, where the churan, we still get it from Calcutta. There's a company called Chamadia which makes that anar dana churan, and which I've tasted. That is more of a nostalgia value. It was a bit of a nostalgia value. The popsicle you eat, or the chuski, or what gola or kala khatta you eat, that's a nostalgia value. And the daulat ki chaat, I would say, I really felt proud when Michelin New York launched their website.
Yes.
And for the first website, one of the first videos they put was daulat ki chaat. And I told the journalists that now everybody's talking about foam, dust, air, and all these things. This thing we've been doing for the last 150 years in India, and nobody even knew about it.
Full credit, full marks to you for that.
That's the whole idea of doing daulat ki chaat on the menu.
Absolutely fantastic. You should be very, very proud, just like we are. Chef, to know a little bit more about you, what does a chef of your caliber cook at home?
Honestly speaking, lot of chefs, everybody asks, what do you cook at home? So honestly, I don't cook that much at home. But now I do a little bit of cooking with my daughter. She also loves to cook, and both of us, we love to eat. And that is the better thing, like we both love to eat. But I'm like a 2 o'clock in the night chef, then I would say Maggie. Instant noodles or a bhel puri, easy to make.
Right.
Just sit with a bowl in front of TV and then you just eat it.
Right.
I love to cook pav bhaji at home, because pav bhaji, I find it very delicious and very comforting kind of a food, like nice buttery bread with a mash. What else you need? So that is one thing which I enjoy cooking at home.
What is it about Indian Accent that worked when it started? Was it a first mover advantage? Or was it something else?
See, when we started Indian Accent, I have seen empty restaurant, sometimes zero covers for dinner. People used to come, sometimes they used to walk out. You don't have regular Indian khana. You don't have biryani, you don't have kebabs and all these things.
Seriously, you've had people walk out of Indian Accent?
After reading the menu, they used to walk out because they were expecting something else. But then slowly people understood what I am doing, concept. And whatever I did at Indian Accent, the plate which used to come on the table, we have to make sure that the common word called tasty khana should be there. There has to be some kind of a familiarity. And unique combination,
right,
which we did at Indian Accent, whether it's blue cheese naan or whether it's meetha chaat, Gujarati chunda
right,
with the pork ribs.
Right.
So all these things combination, then people understood, and people started coming back, and bit of a luck, I would say.
Yeah, so what you're saying is that there was a time when the restaurant today that is booked for months in advance actually had people walk out without eating. You had to educate your diners as to what fine dining was.
Not only fine dining, they knew about fine dining, but the thing is, this kind of food,
plated, course by
course, and unique combinations, which you don't need achar or a green chili or a chutney to eat it.
So do you look back now and feel a sense of accomplishment?
I feel really happy. I feel really happy that with me, the cuisine have moved forward. Now, so many young chefs have started doing their work in their regions, in their regional cuisines, which is really inspiring, which is very good. And overall, this is very good for Indian khana.
Right. So now, a lot of fine dining restaurants like Indian Accent usually have a shelf life of about 5 to 7 years. Then the chef moves on because the food gets repetitive. Indian Accent hasn't. What is the secret of its longevity?
I would say why we survive, because we constantly innovate in terms of my a la carte menu remains the same, because after so many years, it is not difficult to put a new dish on the menu, a la carte menu, but it is difficult which one to remove from the menu.
Right.
But the tasting menu, you keep on changing. You keep on changing. And whenever I do plan a new tasting menu, I think it's done.
Yeah.
Whatever I have already given in this menu. Now I can't think anymore. But next 2 months, again, there is a new tasting menu. So you keep on innovating new things. You get inspired. You travel. You see so many things which really inspire you to do new menus.
So, eating at Indian Accent over the years, I know you constantly reinvent. What has been your most memorable reinvention?
Again, a lot of things like dal muradabadi is one such thing which I showed it today. Yes. That everybody said, this is not going to work. Moong dal, yellow dal, first thing yellow dal, and that was also moong dal. Yeah. It will never work. But I said it worked in Indian Accent. Then there was a dish with a Karela.
Yeah.
How can people eat Karela in the restaurant? Yeah. And it was churan ka Karela with prawns, and it worked very well. And so you keep on thinking, you keep on innovating. Sometimes a difficult dish, it takes a little time to create, but it happens.
So one more question about your menu. What has been the most challenging dish you've cooked in all your years at Indian Accent?
There are many dishes. When I see my earlier dishes, there are weird dishes also, which now I laugh at myself. Like, what were you thinking? What were you smoking at that time when you did a Chawanprash cheesecake? But that also happened. But one of the most difficult dish when I did butter poached lobster with Kashmiri haq saag. That was a very difficult combination because haq is again a very delicate with just 5-6 ingredients. Lobster again is a very delicate thing. How to merge these two? When we did it, it came out very well.
So now Indian Accent exists in other parts of the world. We have one in New York where I've eaten. Why is it that the same dish I ate in Delhi and the one I ate in New York, the one in New York tasted better?
Sometimes the quality of meat, sometimes the quality of produce, what you use is really, really, really good. The pork ribs, the different proteins and all, it is the very, very good quality, which sometimes we don't get that good quality of a prawns or a lobster in Delhi. So that is why it might have done. It should not happen. But and the second thing is when you are in New York, you don't expect it to be like that. So really.
Right. Now, Chef, my next question is going to take the discussion a little broader. Indian food all over the world has always been curries and spice. It's the kind of food you go to after a Saturday night out to numb your taste buds. Is that perception of Indian food now changing?
Yes. I'm so happy that this is changing. There are, see, all of us, all the chefs, whether I am in Delhi, Gagan in Bangkok, Chef Vikas in New York or London, Chef Vineet, all over, Shrijit in San Francisco, and all of us, our ultimate goal is to get real Indian food to the world and tell the world that India is not only about northwest frontier or north. There's east, there's west, there's south. Every different parts of India has got a unique cuisine to offer, which is happening. 10 years back, nobody knew what dosa was. Now everybody in the world knows what dosa is.
Yes.
One of the best pancakes in the world, I would say. So things are changing. Regional cuisines is coming up. Even in India, it is changing because 20 years back, anything with coconut on a 5-star menu was South Indian, which is now changed.
Yes.
So slowly, things are changing, which is very, very good. And fingers crossed.
Yeah. Do you think Indians need to be educated about South Indian food as well? Do we know a Karnataka sambar from a Tamil sambar, and do we know the difference between the two?
Absolutely. We had few biases in our mind, like Bengali, they will eat only fish. Gujaratis, they will only eat sweet khana.
Yeah.
South Indians, they only eat coconut.
Right.
Kashmiris, they only eat red chili. So these type, Bihar, I don't think so they have anything apart from sattu. So all these biases, we were there. But now with the social media, with television, with new restaurants opening, it is changing. Now people understand the difference between that there are almost 200 different types of sambar all over South India, if you see.
So the two dishes you showed us very kindly were both vegetarian. We see mock meats being launched every other day. It's very easy to be vegan in most parts of the world today. Do you see this plant-based, more conscientious eating trend a big part of the future of eating in the world?
I think it was always there with our cuisine. It was always there. The amount of vegetarian food and amount of vegetable we consume in our homes over the years and through so many centuries, it was always there. And the vegetarian repertoire is like amazing. Potato came 300-400 years back to India from South America, but I feel there is a Olympics of potato dishes, India will definitely win. The amount of repertoire we have created with vegetarian food is amazing. And we just have to dig our own recipes and home things.
Yes.
There are thousands of things. And everything God has made is good for you. But everything is moderation is required, I would say.
Now, Chef, with success always comes competition, and with competition come critics. Yet, very few, or if at all, anybody has a bad word to say about Chef Manish Mehrotra. How have you become or remained everybody's favorite in the hospitality industry for all these years?
I think none of my kitchen guys are seeing that because they will say that's not true. See, everybody's too kind, and it's been really good 27 years of my career been cooking. 1996 I've started my first job, and I'm happy that whatever I've achieved, and I've known so many people, I've made so many good friends which are there to support me all the time, I would say. And where I'm working, this company has supported me so much, whether it's Rohit, you know Rohit very well, so Rohit supported me so much, encouraged me so much, which really helped me. So I'm really thankful to everyone, I would say.
So finally, Chef, the theme of the Hindustan Times Leadership Summit this year is envisioning a new tomorrow. In line with that, can you name three young Indian chefs who you think have the potential to put Indian food on the world map?
There are so many young chefs who are doing fantastic job all over the world. But if I really have to name three, I would say Himanshu Saini. He's doing fantastic work, and mark my word, next 5 years, he is going to be the most famous Indian chef in the world, I would say. The second one is Prateek Sadhu. He's doing something different. Again, very inspiring work. And the third one is Hussein in Bombay Canteen and O Pedro. Such a young, dynamic, and still eager to learn kind of a chef. He's also going places, I would say.
Chef Manish Mehrotra, thank you for this great conversation. Thank you for the delicious food you put out. Your food brings out in us emotions. And one of those emotions is pride, because your food may speak with an Indian accent, but it's intrinsically Indian at heart.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
From one pioneer to another, it's very exciting to introduce Falguni Nayar. She is the founder and CEO of Nykaa, a platform that has made beauty products so accessible to women across the country. You now don't need to look for fancy malls to get the beauty products you need. It's all down to an app that seems to get women's needs. Under Ms. Nayar, Nykaa has emerged as India's leading beauty retailer, and that's why when its IPO was announced, it created major excitement. Speaking to her today is the editor of a sister publication, Mint, Sruthijit KK.
Thank you, Sunetra. Hello and welcome to everyone tuning in. This is the 20th edition of the Hindustan Times Leadership Summit, and I'm delighted to be in conversation with an iconic entrepreneur who has not only defied every stereotype around startup founders, but has rewritten the startup playbook in many clever and interesting ways. I look forward to hearing about the secrets of startup success from professional banker turned billionaire startup founder, Falguni Nayar, founder and CEO of Nykaa. Falguni, welcome to HTLS. It's great to have you with us today.
It's my pleasure to be here on your platform today. Thank you.
You've been an entrepreneur now for exactly a decade. Could you describe the highs and lows of this journey for us?
I think, when I started, I really wanted to be an entrepreneur. I had seen a lot of entrepreneurs have a dream and pursue their vision and dreams and create an enterprise that was extremely successful and created a value proposition for customers in the country. And I wanted to particularly come up with a similar such journey. So I was very motivated to pursue an entrepreneurial journey of my own. However, I also have to admit that entrepreneurial journeys are not easy. And especially early days are characterized by a lot of pain points. I think getting the technology, we were a tech-enabled platform. So getting the technology right were the initial issues, then getting the scale and, as they call it, proof of concept. And then after that, consumer adoption of the business or the product or a platform. And then beyond that, providing high quality service and keeping that customer happy. All of that is a big task. And I think first 2-3 years of any startup was some of the hardest. And the lessons learned there, skills learned there as an organization are always very helpful in the long run. So yeah, we went through our own journey.
You've had an action-packed decade, started up, scaled unimaginable heights of success, for a startup and for you personally. How do you look at the next decade for Nykaa? What's in store?
I think, like I told you, early years are characterized by a lot of hard work to build simple skill sets. And today, over the last 2-3 years, we've been doing what we call as a lot of heavy lifting, whether it is in the area of supply chain management, learning how to handle large quantities and large width of inventory, or whether it is in supply chain in terms of rolling out warehouses and stores throughout the length and breadth of the country, or understanding the global brands that we are bringing into the country and making them win in India, like getting a brand into the country, getting it accepted by Indian consumers. These are no easy feats, and trying to learn and become good at it, including our use of digital marketing and continuing to use that and leverage that, whether it is influencer commerce, whether it is live commerce, all of that. So I think equipped with such skill set, we feel very empowered that the next decade can continue on a similar journey where the organization keeps pursuing excellence in terms of how strong we make our platform and our organization to serve our customers better.
How do you tell us a little bit about the secret sauce? How do you research and find out which are the brands that Indian consumers are in love with? How do you decide which ones to invest in, bring to India? How do you research consumer tastes? What new things are new segments of consumers interested in? How do you find out about all of this?
I think, the secret sauce is really easy. I think initially, honestly, obviously everyone's aware about what's going on in the world. Everyone's aware about, the various brands and products that are doing well internationally. But honestly, our secret sauce comes from our customers trusting us to bring them the best of what the world has to offer. And they write to us and we are very open. We listen to our customers and honestly, all our ideas come from them. They tell us that bring that brand, open store here, open store. Because we've always been very active on social media, and as part of our posts on social media, when we initially started announcing that we are launching a store in Bareilly, and to our surprise, there'll be that post will have 100 comments or 200 comments, and they'll be saying, come to this town, come to that town. We would note it down. Similarly, when we launch a new brand, they said, but why not this brand? I think we would create some excitement saying, guess which brand we are launching. And then out comes a list of 100 brands that our customers want. So I think we are a very open organization, we listen to our customers, and a lot of our ideas and our conviction comes from our customers telling us things.
Falguni, if I could take you back to the time when you were deciding to embark on the startup journey, how did you narrow in on this particular segment?
Again, I had lived in the US and I had seen that beauty was a very big business in the West. If the ground floor of the biggest department store in the world had beauty products. We used to hear that Japan and Korea, the beauty consumption is very high. And I was very aware of the Indian market also, where the beauty was hardly available anywhere. And it used to be not even a very good experience. The nearby mom and pop shop would not have some of the best colors or the best products in their store. And as I looked at it, I realized that beauty was a very nascent industry in a geographically diverse country like India. And beauty is a long tail inventory business. So typically one brand will have 600 to sometimes even thousands of SKUs. So to be in stock across all those SKUs was very hard in a growing market or a new nascent market. And I was also familiar with e-commerce and adoption of e-commerce in the US. So I thought if we were to marry e-commerce with the problems of Indian beauty industry and come up with being a multi-brand retailer that was focused on delivering e-commerce, beauty experience through e-commerce would be the right way to go. So that's how we started off. And I think that was the right bet to make.
But did you have full confidence in your thesis? Did you test it out? Did you ask around? Did you receive diverse and conflicting feedback on it?
No, I didn't really. If you ask anyone, they'll say beauty industry has never worked. That was the time when a lot of international brands were leaving the country. Beauty brands were leaving the country. I don't think it was a great. I think people had not been able to build the business. So I think there were lots of naysayers saying, if you want to do e-commerce, do it in electronics, do it in fashion. Why in beauty? Nobody thought. Many people said, can you even sell beauty online? And we were convinced about it that it's a good idea, based on very simple first principles. I think we did some, a thumb rule kind of information about how big the market is likely to be and what percentage could go offline. From offline to online. But otherwise, we went with more gut feel and conviction that came from within. I used to joke about it those days that I know if I'm performing ballet, I know I'm not in New York, but God, let me be at least in Mumbai and not in Timbuktu. So we were hoping that we had also observed that education was very integral to creating demand for beauty products. And hence we brought a lot of education in, and we once equipped with education, we thought Indian consumers would also consume products. So we took consumers on that journey of learning about the beauty products, learning how to use them. And when equipped with that through digital communication, we were convinced that they would buy more of those.
Did you then have retail experts and others telling you nobody's going to buy beauty products online and consumers like to, try out beauty products before they buy it?
In fact, I had a lot of consumers tell me that it is very hard to buy beauty products online, but it was thanks to the millennial consumers who were very open to social media and being influenced online, and also purchasing online was one of our key to success in early days. Of course, since then, a lot of older age groups are also buying online, but I think the initial success came from that. And I remember during early days when I started traveling to France and Paris, the kingdom, I mean the capital of beauty. Many of them started telling me that since you were not from the beauty industry, you broke all the rules and you didn't take any constraints for granted. So they felt that Nykaa came up with such a fantastic platform because we didn't carry the baggage of oh, this is how beauty has to be done. Because I think beauty also for very long is luxury beauty sold only in luxury environment, and mass beauty sold in different environment. I was one of the few naive people who went and tried to convince all the luxury beauty guys that in India, luxury and mass need to be sold on the same platform because it is today's Dow consumer who is young and is growing both in terms of income levels as well as in age, is likely to be the future luxury consumer. So India is a very different market, and one has to tailor the offering to India. And I think I was not from the industry, we were not from the industry, we didn't take any of these constraints as constraints, and we went about building our business.
I suppose the other factor of dissuasion at that point for you would have been that you were already a very successful, very accomplished professional banker, and the path would have been, or the risk-free path would have been to continue that way. You'd of course done very well for yourself, and the advice perhaps might have been that why do you want to take such a risk at this stage? So was there some of that from friends and family?
Yeah, definitely. I took about 2.5 years to have the courage to quit my job. I mean, obviously, I was in a great company like Kotak Mahindra, doing very well. And it was very hard to give all that up. But I really, like I said, I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I had seen the entrepreneurial journeys of others, and I wanted to experience that for myself. I think at that point, it was my daughter who was very helpful, and she shared a poem called Ithaca with me. And I would urge all of you to read that poem. But the poem is about saying that this is a journey and it is not about the destination. So don't worry about the destination, but journey will be, if you are passionate about the journey will always be interesting and the learnings will be worth it. So I started the journey with that mindset. And I was also very ready for entrepreneurial journey. So in spite of having a very comfortable home and of course previous offices, I wanted the startup office to be really startup-like, because that's when the startup culture comes in. So we began in an office which was less than 1,000 square feet office in an industrial gala in central Mumbai. And really, some people joke about it that we had like water leakages and mushrooms growing in our bathroom. So it was truly a startup office. And that's how you need to start, because that's when the culture of frugality comes in. And until that frugality comes in, it doesn't work, because it takes a couple of years to get started. And if you're going to spend with white glove spending, then the startups never get off the ground, because they're burdened with losses.
Yeah. And one of the things I want to come back to is to talk about the frugal way in which you built Nykaa without diluting a lot of equity, without raising capital needlessly or anything of that sort. But I want to understand that those early days a little bit more, Falguni, if you will indulge us. One is, I want to know how did you adjust yourself, because your own professional ways would have been quite set by that time by the banking industry, which has its own ways. And number two, was it difficult to attract talent and get people along while you operated in that sort of frugal manner?
Yes, you have to really think out of the box. So one of the main thing we did was that we were very clear that our initial expenses have to be in line with our likely revenues, which were very limited in year one. So I remember those days we used to really recruit very young team members. So a lot of our early team were just fresh undergraduate out of their colleges. My children also, they had just graduated, and many of their friends came in first work. And in those early days, I used to joke about it that trespassers will be recruited, So I think that was the point. And basically what we used to do is we used to look at the passion of the individual to work at Nykaa, and their belief that they can make a difference at Nykaa, and Nykaa can make a difference, and Nykaa can grow. I think all those things were more important than whether they knew their job. So early, most of the recruitment we did, and these are the management lessons, most of the recruitment we did were just heavy on passion, and most people didn't know the job that they were being put on. So someone who came for customer service was being asked to do digital marketing. Someone who came for who came just as a general what do you call, like an intern, was being asked to do brand management. So I think a lot of early talent was just very versatile, and they were just passionate about Nykaa's vision.
And did many of those early recruits of this ragtag band of, sort of this guerrilla army that you recruited, did many of them get ESOPs, and did they go on to do really well when Nykaa listed?
Yes, of course. I mean those kind of ESOPs, because that time the cost of equity was considered so low. Like, I mean, it was low. So the kind of ESOPs one could give then, and what one can afford, even if what one wants to give. But obviously, there's a cost of ESOP also. So obviously, there is a very different mindset. But I think early days, it was not just for the ESOP. I think it was just many of those. I mean, it's a different breed. I mean, there are, like, I think the early 3-4 people I recruited, they had startups of their own. In fact, 2-3 of my CXOs had startups of their own, 1 or 2 startups that they had failed. And now they were looking to, with little more stable salary, and they were ready to join a startup like Nykaa. And of course, many of them were from some of the best institutions like IIM Ahmedabad, IIT Bombay, or IIT Delhi. And I used to ask them that, don't you get scared? Now you're joining a startup as a third job. And aren't you scared that what if the startup doesn't work? And they just had the startup mindset. So they used to say that, no, we are equipped with very good degrees. So we know that eventually we'll find something. And I'm also a big believer that a startup experience is always very, very valuable. So if I also got a startup employee, I was always ready to take them, because they don't sit on certain, I mean, they really have to move things around to earn their livelihood, right? In a startup, you really have to hustle and make things happen. So I think it's a very nice personality trait from a career perspective.
You mentioned that you had witnessed the startup journeys of others, and that had inspired you. Could you mention 1 or 2 instances of who particularly?
No, a number of companies. As Kotak, I was fortunate to do IPOs of so many companies. So we did IPOs of companies like, I remember early days where I took Harsh Mariwala and Adi Godrej on roadshows, and I saw them building their brands, which became large companies and large brands in the country. We also, I remember in early days, we did IPO of Adani Ports, which was initially, when people went there, nobody believed that the port there could be as large, or for that matter, like we did the IPO of UTV, and when Ronnie Screwvala used to say that I want to build Disney-like studio in India, no one believed him, but he did do that eventually. So I had, in my 19-year career, I had seen these, because being so close to these entrepreneurs, and I used to take them to meet investors, and as they portrayed their vision, and there were so many people who didn't believe in it, but eventually they created that. I remember even Ajay Bijli used to say that I want to have a multiplex business in India, and investors used to say, who in India will pay 100 rupees for a movie ticket? And today you see how much Indians are paying for movie tickets. So yeah.
That's so interesting. So you had seen other people's dreams come true right during your own career, and that gave you the audacity to imagine or visualize that something small that I start today could end up being really big, and it did indeed come true.
Yes, and lots of examples, because as you know, as at Kotak, we were instrumental in being in so many such companies. So I just mentioned a few, but I had seen those in every direction.
And I suppose life came full circle, at least with regard to Harsh Mariwala, who incidentally I met 2 days ago to record. I mean, he came on my podcast. We discussed a little bit about how his family office had invested in Nykaa, and they got really lucky as a consequence of that investment, etc. And I suppose you took him on his roadshow, and then sort of that kind of a relationship also got formed eventually. I'm keen to understand, Falguni, some of the early challenges that you might have encountered. For instance, you would of course have been very, very robust on finance processes, in the structure of the company, running of the company, and all of that. What about the tech side of it? Did you encounter challenges that you could not have anticipated?
Yes, I think I've admitted that I was very naive to think that I can do tech on my own. I do. If people tell me what would you do differently, I would have probably started with a tech co-founder. So some of the most difficult decision, like any tech person, even if I knew one tech person, I met them, and through them I met 5 more tech people, because I was not even in the tech ecosystem. I was in this finance and banking ecosystem, being based out of Mumbai, and also the kind of friends we had developed with our long careers in finance. And of course, I finally did a good job, because one of the biggest decision was what tech platform to use to build our e-commerce, and also in terms of how much to spend on our technology. And we did many right things. Like initially, like within first 1 or 2 years, when the apps became popular, we were not sure how much to bet on the apps and how much again money to spend on creating an app. And our app was one of our biggest reasons for success, because we built a fantastic app. But all of our early technology was built where we had not even spent we must not even spent $100,000 totally to build all of our tech platforms, like all our apps as well as our platforms. So I think I did a lot of, I do believe that when you want to do something, the knowledge comes to you, and I absorbed the knowledge. I used to drive myself to do a lot of external meetings. You can't be sitting in your office and thinking everything will happen. So I used to every day try to do 2-3 meetings with new people from all kinds of fields. So in a week, I would do at least I would think at least 15 to 20 meetings with just a lot of people, and I would listen to them. I would learn from them, and I learned beauty like that. I learned retail like that. I learned also technology like that. So sometimes I think about it. I say, even if I thought I was good at business, but I didn't know retail, I didn't know beauty, I didn't know technology. So it was quite brave to jump in that sense.
Were there, in the early years, were there ever moments when you felt, boss, this is not going to work? I mean, were there real stumbling blocks where you felt that maybe you've made a mistake in embarking on this journey? Or was it always a case of, sort of you had a relatively smooth sailing?
No, you can't have a relatively smooth sail. But I think the point is the personality. Like, I'm not a personality who feels this can't work. But what is the definition of feeling feeling really down or dejected or desperate, if I may call it? There was a time when we started getting, like, initially it was we were not getting enough orders. We were like hoping that we at least get 300-400 orders a week, and we were struggling. Then suddenly, after about 4-5 months, we started getting 60-65 orders a day, and that was the good news. But the minute we started getting those, our ops started collapsing, because we had not set up an ERP system. And I remember those days we were so messed up that we had to stop all shipment and set up an ERP over a 5-day long weekend during Ganpati time. So you can envisage what Ganpati times are in Mumbai. And during that time, me and my daughter were working till 3 a.m. trying to deal with this. And then when we thought that we had got our ERP right, and now we could dispatch using our ERP system, we didn't know how to do it also. So I think we kind of delivered our packages to the courier partner, but we didn't connect. There's a technical word called connect, where you have to connect the packages, then only they move forward. So a lot of learning and a lot of dirtying your hands, rolling up your sleeves. I think that's the only way to build a business. I mean, in those days we used to even answer customer calls, because customers were so angry. Obviously, if you've not shipped your 65 orders a day for 6 days in a row, there are a lot of angry customers, So I think there was a lot of learning. But, I think if you get the product market fit right and you're offering something to the customer, and I think we got all that right, we saw the bounce back. Within 3 months, we were doing 100 orders a day. And then since then, we never had to look back. And one of the things we learned from that is that digital businesses can grow very rapidly, and we must believe in the growth. So now we always invest ahead of the curve, because if we don't believe in the growth and we get more orders than we can handle, then our platform and their capacity won't handle it. If they can handle it, our warehouses won't have the stock. And if they can still handle it, then our customer service capacity won't be there if there are any calls coming in. So I think we now invest ahead of the growth because we believe in that growth.
Could you give us a sense of the scale that Nykaa has now accomplished? So you mentioned at a point how delighted you were at getting 65 orders, for instance. What would that be now? What would be the number of SKUs you might have had back then when you were getting 65 orders a day? What's the number of SKUs what's the number of brands that what's the number of pin codes that you serve today? Could you give us a sense of where you've got to?
So everything started with zero, so it's a good starting point. And I think today we get 1 billion visits a month on the website. We have more than 5,500 brands across beauty and fashion, and it's growing every day. In fashion, we have 1.6 million SKUs on our platform because fashion is a very widely width business. Beauty is not that wide. So in beauty, we have a lot of SKUs, but in fashion, we have even more. We, of course, now have 33 warehouses. We service 95% of the zip codes in the country, which is in excess of 27,000 zip codes. We have 128 stores in 58 cities. We have so many offices, like we have major offices in Bombay, Delhi, and Bangalore. So, I mean, Nykaa is an extremely large and complex business now. And obviously, in terms of number of orders also, I think we must be doing close to 2 million orders a month.
Strategically, there are two things that I'm really interested in hearing your thoughts on. One is from digital commerce to omni-channel. You went omni-channel pretty relatively early in your journey. I think I've been seeing Nykaa stores around for now more than 3 or 4 years. And number two is the diversification also into fashion, which is a much more competitive area. Could you talk us through your thinking in these two, omni-channel and fashion?
Yeah, sure. So we were big believers in omni-channel from the beginning. It doesn't mean that, so if you look at the composition of the market, e-commerce was only 8% of the market, maybe it's at about 12% of the market now. So there is a large number of customers who are offline. And if you win, we were leaders in e-commerce. And why would you let your customers not discover you on physical? So from early days, we believed in both omni-channel, and hence we want customers to find us where they want us. So we are we are agnostic to where they discover us. They can shop online, they can shop offline. And of course, but the reality is in an offline store, you can only have 70, 80 brands. And e-commerce is considered endless aisle. So what we offer online is if we have 2,500 brands in beauty, in our stores, at the most, we'll have 60 to 80 brands. So the offline experience is different. It is relevant for really high price. Also, wherever customer wants to come once in a while into the store, we allow them. But 90% of our business is online.
And the how did the addition of fashion to your business happen, and what's your thinking? How excited are you about that particular vertical?
So again, many customers started telling us that why don't you sell fashion online? So we experimented with what we called as pop-up and put some fashion products on the beauty website, and we saw good traction towards that. Then we started looking at fashion a little more, and we realized that fashion was 5 times the size of the business in India compared to beauty. It was a much bigger business, and e-commerce penetration was also higher. And by the time we started thinking about fashion at Nykaa, a lot of other fashion portals had not succeeded and closed down. So the competition had got limited to only Myntra, and of course Ajio had come in. Amazon also had not done so well in fashion internationally as well as in India. So we realized that there was a space that was open that we could try to occupy. We also realized that a lot of fashion portals had focused too much on discounting and tried to get customers only based on price discounting, and that there was a wide space open for us to service the customers who were wanting more on-trend products and something which was high on fashion. And hence we went about building a platform that was different. So today we enjoy much higher AOV than competition, and we take pride in the statistics, like a large percentage of our business not large, but 20 or close to a quarter of our business comes from what we call as new season merchandise, which many brands told us that was not what was happening at other portals, where other portals wanted discounted goods, and hence they were asking for old merchandise, old season merchandise, but on a discounted. Whereas we take pride in the fact that we're ready to sell full price, and but more new season, more on trend. Then we went around bringing global brands into the country, and we have recently launched a partnership with Revolve, where all of their global brands are available in India, and many other global brands, we painstakingly brought them in the country. So already our global brands account for 13% of our Western wear offering. And similarly, then we said, let's bring hidden gems, those brands from Calcutta that Mumbai can't get, or Mumbai brands that Calcutta can't get, or Delhi brands that South can't get. And we call them hidden gems, and we started promoting those on our website. Those also now account for about 8% of our business. So a lot of unique, trend-led discovery and offering is what we focused on.
Are there any other verticals you're thinking of getting into at this point?
Not really. We've always liked wellness as a category, and wellness is to me it's long-term sustainable beauty, and wellness is a very integral part. Athleisure is also a very integral part of fashion now. So we already retail those on our website, but we again believe in content-led commerce, and I think we need to do more towards with more education and consumer advice on the wellness front, and that's the area of focus that we would like to pursue in future.
Could you talk us through a little bit about what Nykaa and its ubiquitous sort of availability has done to the availability of beauty and personal care in the sort of rural areas and sort of remote corners? Are there places where beauty products were previously inaccessible, but folks from those pin codes or those regions are regularly buying from Nykaa? Do you observe those kind of patterns?
Absolutely. Almost 60% of our demand is coming from non-metro cities. And we believe that we have done democratization of beauty and beauty products availability all throughout the country. And many of these small towns where because of our policy of promoting economic growth all throughout the country, there are consumers who are interested in these products. And that was our whole thesis, that we want the products that are available to Mumbai and Delhi consumers to be available all throughout India. So that's been a big thesis, and it's really played out well because we see the same consumption. A lot of earlier people used to ask us, do you see different consumption from tier 2 and 3 cities? And our answer is no. Those consumers are consuming similar, they have similar aspirations, they're consuming similar products.
And does it make you proud to imagine, some young woman in some remote corner of the country feels a little more confident as a consequence of better grooming or of using?
Absolutely, that's been my big motivation. So we used to do, before COVID, we call them beauty bars, and basically they were our experiential. We would go to a city and set up an experiential environment where consumers from that city were called in to come and experience various brands. And there, when I used to connect with the girls, they used to tell us that they've learned everything by watching Nykaa content, and they feel so empowered now and so confident to go into the world. A lot of young girls, as they were like growing up and they're taking their first jobs, they felt very empowered with what Nykaa was offering them. So that's been a big satisfaction. And it's from there that was our message to women. Like Nykaa as a name means an actress. So that is our message to women, that let the spotlight of your life be on you. For too long, women have been too afraid to dream for themselves. And time has come for women to want to dream for themselves and not be afraid of pursuing their own dreams. And I joke about it that, now at least we've given, what more equal sex ratio at birth. I say we've given in India, we've given them a chance to be born, but now let's give them a chance to dream for themselves.
Absolutely. There are two parts that's really well said as well. There are two parts. There are two aspects to how you chose to build your business that I find really interesting, and I want to take a moment to talk about those. One is, as we mentioned previously, you chose to build frugally with a lot of discipline and not diluting as little as you could manage, not raising more money than you needed. Number two, when you did raise money, you chose to raise it from high net worth individuals, families, rather than funds. One, could you talk us through, what informed these choices? And number two, did your experience as a banker help you in superior management of the cap table and making more optimal choices in these regards?
Yeah. So, I observed e-commerce and I realized that inventory-led e-commerce was a key to success, especially in beauty, where there are a lot of counterfeit products and there is a tendency, and there's also expiry date, and there's a tendency for marketplaces, some retailers to sell their not so great products on the marketplaces. So I was convinced it needed to be inventory-led. And by the time we entered, there were already rules in India where, basically if you have inventory-led business, you could not take foreign money. So we chose not to take foreign money, and we chose high net worth money for those reasons, till such time as later we got structured as Indian owned and managed company. with at the top, and then our subsidiary could do that business. So as those rules came about, then that's how we got structured. So that was one of the reasons why we started in a manner that we started. I think also talking about my experience as a banker, how did it help, and a stockbroker. So I joke about it, but because having been a stockbroker, I am very aware of the P&L impact of a business and balance sheet impact of a business, and we call it unit economics. So honestly, like from very day one, I was trying to build businesses that fall into the right unit economics, and hence eventually they'll have a earnings potential and a model that will be interesting to the investor. So my in-depth experience of investors and what they want, it's like what do women want? Similarly, what do investors want? So I think at Nykaa, I truly understand that. And it's not that we are giving them numbers that they want, but we are truly building a business that they would love. So a lot of internal discipline to not do wrong things. So we talk about it. Like I think in early days, even before we launched the website, I used to say that I'll never do shipping for free. Like the free shipping should not be done without any minimum threshold. So I very carefully calculated that if it takes 50 rupees to ship a product, and if our margins are say 20-30%, then what is the price what is the AOV of the order at which I can do free shipping? So I think in those early days, my colleagues used to tell me that the whole industry does free shipping. And I said, no, it won't be for too long. And we never pursued that. And by the time we were doing the right thing, we found that industry also had moved to doing the right thing. So we don't follow those, we call it building a sustainable business model. We don't follow business policies that are not sustainable, which will run out once the money runs out. So even to our brand partners, we say that would you rather not have a retail partner that will survive for the long run and add value for the long run, than have a retail partner that will basically, once their money or their capital finishes, they won't have a business model.
Falguni, I'm very keen to hear from you. You've been a pioneering, woman professional in a very competitive field, and now, of course, you're an icon for all the entrepreneurs. How has the workplace changed for women, especially in India? That's number one. And number two, what advice would you have for everyone who aspires to be an entrepreneur, but especially young women?
I've said too many times that for women, there are no glass ceiling. I think, in my opinion, women need to want it for themselves. They need to want to dream for themselves and want a certain career aspiration for themselves, be it in any field. Tomorrow they want to be in army, they should want it, and if they want it, I think there are no barriers. And I think the empowerment and support has to come from home. How within your family you get empowerment and how you get freedom to pursue what you want is more important than what companies do. So I'm a big believer that the women empowerment has to start at home, and that's where they need to be very well supported. I'm very fortunate that I've had that. I've had a very supportive family, be it my dad, or even later my family members like my husband and my father-in-law, or anybody, and even colleagues at work, or people I work for, people I who work for me, or my my co-CXOs. All of them have also been very open to they've been very equal opportunity in that sense. I don't think they had mindsets, and hence I always say that empowerment has to begin at home.
You've now created a spectacular amount of wealth for yourself, your family, your shareholders. Did you ever imagine when you started this journey that you would come to be the custodian of this level of wealth? And number two, what are your plans for this wealth? You have a family office? Are you investing in other ventures? How do you plan to invest back in furthering India's startup ecosystem?
So a couple of things. I never dreamt. I never built business for size and scale, and I didn't think it'll go to size and scale. It has gone. And I never dreamt of the valuations that it has achieved. So yeah, I was not driven by the valuations. I just wanted to create and build a great company and great brands that survive for centuries. That's what my dream would be, and that's what would make me happy. That Nykaa as a brand is remembered 100 years from now when we are not around. So that would be my dream come true. I think what we are doing as a company and as a family is that we are big believers in entrepreneurship, and digital technology, if I may call it. So we have partnered with IIM Ahmedabad, my alma mater, to start a chair, to fund a chair where we will do research, we will do collaboration, as well as we'll do education, supporting those four fields of interest to me. Also, as a family, we are very keen to spread education for those individuals who are kind of not being able to pursue their basic formal education and are coming off the formal education, but if supported by more more vocational skills, they can get jobs, they can become more gainfully employed. So that is another area where families focused on. And yeah, we love investing in startups. So I think both first at Nykaa, partnering with Estee Lauder, we have a program called Beauty and You, which is going to identify great upcoming beauty businesses, and we are going to give them grant. It's not even investment. Sometimes they just want grants with which they can build their businesses further, because investment comes with a lot of strings attached, whereas grant is so both grant as well as mentorship is going to be given to these businesses from a joint initiative by Nykaa as well as Estee Lauder group of companies. And lastly, we also, as a family, are now investing in as a growth fund. We are investing in new businesses. So yeah, I mean, this is what we know well in terms of understanding startups and their dreams, and we would like to pursue that.
Is beauty an inflation-proof business?
Yes, it's been known. I mean, they've coined terms like lipstick index, which means that during times of recession and depression, the consumption of beauty products does not suffer, because they call them small luxuries. So when consumers can't afford big luxuries like travel or jewelry, they're happy with a nice color of a lipstick. Yeah. But in COVID, it did not happen. In COVID period, the lipstick effect got translated to skin. And a lot of skincare products did well because of the mask, the lipsticks were out. But I think consumers adapted a lot of skincare during COVID.
And the habits that were built during that time, are they continuing? Has the overall
Definitely.
consumption of skincare gone up?
Yeah, the consumption of skincare and face products have gone up. Yeah.
Lastly, Falguni, what do you want from the next 10 years? When you look at the next 10 years, both for Nykaa and yourself, what do you want from the next decade?
I think I would want Nykaa to continue to delight the consumer and come up with a number of brands out of, basically build a consumer company out of India that is recognized globally, is what our dream would be. So yes, we are being recognized globally, but more as a startup or an entrepreneur out of India. But I want Nykaa and its brands to be recognized globally. So, but that doesn't mean we are currently focused on that, one step at a time. We have enough to do in India and win India. But if you ask me so from near-term perspective, next 3 to 5 years, our attention will be more on India, because there's a lot to do. And we are pursuing the full lifestyle from beauty to fashion. But yeah, in the long run, and I want the brands to be, we do believe, even with Estee Lauder, we do believe that the future winning brands for beauty and fashion are going to come out of India.
And for yourself, do you plan to continue with the same energy and keep the same pace in the next decade?
I would hope to. I mean, if as they say, if God permits, if one stays healthy, then I think I enjoy working at Nykaa. I enjoy bringing all my both mental and physical energy on Nykaa, and it's not just to me. It doesn't feel like a chore. I enjoy every moment of it. So yeah, till I can enjoy it and I can add value, why not?
You work very closely with your children. Can you tell us what are the pros and cons of that?
At the moment, I don't see cons, but there can be. I think if we are on the same page, then maybe there are no cons. But I think I don't know. I don't look at it as pros and cons. I'm just very delighted that it was a business that I was starting, and I'm delighted that both my children chose to join me. Adwaita, in fact, came in pretty early on in the journey. I think she joined us just within 6-9 months of us launching the business. So she is like a co-founder who's walked the path with me most of the time, except for a couple of years when she went to business school. And now she's building our fashion business. And it was a big surprise to me when about 4 years ago, Anchit, who was for 6.5 years with Morgan Stanley, said that he wants to come back at Nykaa. And not just that they wanted to come back, but they are enjoying every moment of their time at Nykaa, and every day they're energized to do more. So I think we feel that we are bringing a lot of family energies onto this. We call it our third child, and at Nykaa. So yeah, it's good.
A wonderfully robust story of family and great hard work, determination, perseverance, and tremendous success, and of course of real entrepreneurship at the heart of it all, and your willingness to not just take the risk, but also to stay the course. Congratulations on all you have accomplished, and best wishes for the future. And thank you so much for sparing the time and joining us today.
No, thank you very much. I've really enjoyed this conversation, and thank you for giving me an opportunity. It's been a wonderful conversation.
Thank you.
A vision becomes a milestone when it helps make our lives richer with love and laughter. When it helps make a cleaner, smarter, and a more beautiful planet. So that you can set off on joyous new journeys and adventures. Building stronger bonds and bridging impossible distances, which take you from the ever new to the forever beautiful. Opening up vistas and windows to a vibrant new world. A vision becomes a milestone when it touches millions of lives. Aditya Birla Group, big in your life.
Wealthy in minerals, rapid industrialization, swift pace of development, creating its unique identity in the nation's development roadmap, is the success story of Chhattisgarh. Chhattisgarh is presently ranked 4th in the Ease of Doing Business Index in India. A lot of credit for this goes to the Chhattisgarh's visionary leadership to create a bright future for its citizens. With the potential to generate 24,000 megawatts, Chhattisgarh is all set to be the power pivot of the country. Chhattisgarh has been topping the charts as the cleanest state. Due to the all-round rural development and agriculture welfare schemes, Chhattisgarh is a model state for rural prosperity and urban excellence. With the intent of the state leadership and results being seen on ground, Chhattisgarh is on the path of rapid and model growth and development.
There are those who are always looking for what's next. Changing lanes, shifting modes, always in command. Sensing what lies ahead. That first scent of yet another success. The all-new Hyundai Tucson next drives now.
माननीय प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी के विजन और प्रदेश के युवा मुख्यमंत्री पुष्कर सिंह धामी के मिशन से प्रगति के पथ पर निरंतर आगे बढ़ रहा है उत्तराखंड। रोजगार, शिक्षा, स्वास्थ्य, निवेश और भ्रष्टाचार मुक्त उत्तराखंड के सपने को साकार कर रही है उत्तराखंड सरकार। पर्यटन से राज्य में मिल रहे हैं आर्थिक प्रगति को पंख। उत्तराखंड के सीएम तक पहुंच रही जनता की आवाज। उत्तराखंड में बढ़ता निवेश बन रहा है विकास का मुख्य आधार। राज्य की जनता की सुनी मन की बात मिलने जा रहा है राज्य को मजबूत भू कानून का आधार। उत्तराखंड के वीर सैनिकों का हो रहा है सम्मान। प्रदेश में भ्रष्टाचार पर की बड़ी चोट। सुखी समृद्ध खुशहाली की तरफ लगातार है बढ़ना। जन जन का है सपना, आगे बढ़ता रहे उत्तराखंड अपना।
A land of awakening. A land of joy. A land where every step forward is a journey within. I have started my journey. When will you start yours?
With over 8,000 passionate employees working hard in difficult terrain, pushing boundaries, transforming India's energy landscape. We stand ready with innovative prowess to write another history, fueling the nation and contributing to India's energy security. We are Oil India Limited.
From the interior parts of hilly areas to metro cities, today there are more than 8,800 Jan Aushadhi Kendras have been opened to provide affordable and quality medicines. These centers have 1,616 types of medicines and 250 types of surgical devices available at up to 90% off. By providing affordable medicines to about 10 lakh patients every day, Jan Aushadhi has been able to save up to 18,000 crore rupees for needy people in the last 8 years. Quality is also at the forefront of medicines at low prices.
2025 तक हम छलांग लगा चुके होंगे $1 ट्रिलियन डिजिटल इकोनॉमी की ओर।
आज जब हम आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव मना रहे हैं, तो मेरा भी यही सपना है कि भारत में हर हाथ में स्मार्टफोन हो, हर खेत में ड्रोन हो और हर घर में समृद्धि हो।
Digital India, catalyzing new India's decade. Jai Hind.
जय जय गंगे, जय जय गंगे, नमामि गंगे, नहीं रुकेंगे, हम स्वच्छ करेंगे। तू युग युग से बहती आई, तूने ही हमको पाला है। तेरी उंगली पकड़ चलना सीखा, जीवन तूने ही संभाला है। तेरा कर्ज चुकाना है हमको, कर्तव्य निभाना है हमको। नमामि गंगे, नमामि गंगे, हम स्वच्छ करेंगे, हम स्वच्छ करेंगे।
Power Grid, a Maharatna PSU of Government of India, largest transmission utility of country,
embarked on one such remarkable journey to establish one nation, one grid, one frequency, high voltage integrated transmission network, an electric superhighway through which power flows across the length and breadth of the country. Meeting challenges has always been a way of life at Power Grid. Transmitting power, transforming lives.
REC unleashes the potential of energy. REC funds energy. Funding that catalyzes. Funding that inspires. Funding that transforms. For sustainability and reliability. For investment and development. Adding value every day in every way. This is what our energy is. This is REC.